Hello, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
The Southern University recently held its Small Farmers Conference in Alexandria. The three-day event was packed with information to help small farmers and those interested in getting started with their own agricultural enterprise.
One of the highlights was a farm tour of Moise Farms near Opelousas. TWILA's Neil Melancon got a chance to take the tour and see how small farms can lead to big accomplishments.
Tim Melancon is cooking up something good in the kitchen at Moise Farms. They're having company today from Southern University's Small Farmers Conference, which is touring their farm as part of a three-day event. Tim's wife, Monica, says the event is a chance to showcase their diversified operation.
Well, we're kind of different kind of farm. We're mainly based on with livestock. So we're raising pigs and cattle and some lambs and meat chickens. There's a need for pasture-raised meat chickens.
Melancon says they too have a lot to learn. Right now, they're trying to build a processing facility on the farm, not only to cut costs, but to help other farmers have a place to go.
We did a loan and we have the processing facility, but now it's been challenging to harvest our animals, so we need to add a kill floor. That's going to cost quite a bit of money, so we're pondering which direction to take. Without harvesting the animals, we cannot processing them.
One of the farmers on the tour is Chris Muse. His family used to farm, and now he and his three brothers have returned to it, which is why educational opportunities like this are so valuable.
I came from the corporate world. You know, networking was beneficial, and it directly applies to farming. If you're not networking, understanding, what's happening on other farms or what's happening in your area or what's happening overall in the U.S., you're going to be left behind. You need to go out and talk and understand the trends, especially new farmers.
Muse says while there are many challenges to farming, consumer interest in local food is helping support their market.
We're in a very rural area. People now are more conscious about what they're eating, what they're putting into their body, what they're feeding their kids. So they want to look at, hey, where the animals are grown, how they're being taken care of, to ensure that they're eating healthy.
Monica says one of the highlights of this conference is showing the lifestyle here. The connection with nature, animals, and food every day is a reward itself.
I think there's a specialty for meat chickens, I believe, and other products. They can do pork as well. But value-added products is also a good avenue, for for the meats.
Whether it's from the meat case you see behind me or any of the products on the shelf like those honey or even their own custom-made spices, it seems like there's something for everyone here at the farm. And that's the viability of small farms. They can offer a lot of the food products that are so integral to our culture in South Louisiana especially. Reporting from Sunset, Louisiana, I'm Neil Melancon.
Moise Farms products are available online. For more information on them or Southern University's Small Farmers Program, head over to our website at twilatv.org. If you are a small farmer in Louisiana, you will probably enjoy listening to our latest episode of the Louisiana Farm Bureau podcast.
It features a conversation with Casey Luckett and Grant Estrade, two farmers at the heart of the new committee getting started at Louisiana Farm Bureau. In this episode, Casey and Grant share their experiences as first-generation farmers and the important role Louisiana Farm Bureau has played in their success, and how others can benefit by joining the Farm Bureau family. Here's a short clip from that conversation.
Whenever we first started in YFNR, we were the only produce farmers there. We're the only produce farmers, direct sell farmers. And so we kind of didn't have a place. We kind of made our own place. But the more I talk to people that are in direct sales, they feel like they want a seat at the table, and this committee will help with that.
You can find this podcast anywhere you listen by searching the Louisiana Farm Bureau podcast, and it should pop up, or you can visit our website at twilatv.org. Well, one topic that came up in that episode of the podcast was agritourism, and in St. James Parish, agritourism takes center stage every year.
And that's because the fast food farm hosts the annual St. James Parish Ag Day. This week in Louisiana Agriculture, intern Cesilee Oliver makes her TWILA debut to show us what children learn when they get hands-on with agriculture.
Students in St. James Parish see agriculture around them every day, but some may not know why it is so important in their everyday lives. At the annual St. James Ag Day, fast food farm owner Denise Hemel works to ensure elementary students understand why we need agriculture.
These events bring those children out into the real concept of the origin of where their food comes from. Through the hands-on activities that we do here, they're getting to go through the complex system that it takes to get an item to be grown on the farm to the end product of what they get to eat.
Not only are these students getting to participate in hands-on learning activities, but they are getting to see what the product looks and tastes like before it goes on the grocery store shelf.
It tastes like sugar. It's supposed to.
When you do a hands-on activity that they get to also eat, it really sticks.
At fast food farms, students put all their senses to the test. They see the difference between a commodity and the end product. Students hold baby chicks and pet goats to know what those animals feel like. And when around the strawberry plants, students smell the sweet aroma of the berries.
I just saw the disconnect of our young people with farming and even gardening at that time. And I felt like they have to know that they can't take our food for granted.
So these students don't take the hard work for granted, they grow their own. At this station, students used a clear container, soil, and seeds to make mini greenhouses to grow carrots and cucumbers. One day, they will be able to harvest the vegetables they grew.
Agriculture is a part of their daily life every day. Just about everything they do or wear or eat, agriculture is part of it.
And now they know that fast food really isn't that fast. In St. James Parish, I am Cesilee Oliver for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
If you would like to learn more about the fast food farm, visit our website at twilatv.org. Now, farm tours are not the only way to get closer to agriculture. I mean, we're surrounded by it every day.
And that's why a group of LSU students interested in the fashion industry recently took a trip to Vidalia, Louisiana. That's where the cotton from Northeast Louisiana and all across the Mid-South is becoming denim that will be sold around the world.
Just a short distance from the banks of the Mississippi, Vidalia Mills is busy making yarn an important material used in many apparel items. Denim. A group from the LSU Ag Center Textiles, Apparel Design, and Merchandising Department toured the facility and got to see how premium denim is made.
It has a very thin selvage, which is the very edge of the fabric, and it's really decorative and pretty, and your high-end denims will actually include that as part of the outseam of the garment.
While only employees of the department were part of the tour group, some thought it would be beneficial for students to see the inner workings of a major textile operation.
To actually see it working and to feel the fabric coming off the loom, feel the yarns, feel the slavers, feel the rovings and things like that. You know, they don't necessarily get that in the classroom.
The key ingredient for the products being manufactured is cotton, some of which is grown in the nearby fields. Having raw materials close by is an area of research Stannard has an interest in.
The idea of local and sustainable has always been a part of my research program. It's something I try to bring into the classroom, and it's something I really want to emphasize to the students. So it was like, we got to come here.
Not only are the materials coming from the area, but the mill has brought good jobs to a region that is one of the most disadvantaged economic locations in the state.
I like the idea of bringing jobs back to a community, good paying jobs. The other part of the equation is he pays 100% of the medical coverage for an employee here.
While Vidalia Mills is a long way from the runways of Paris, Milan, and New York, you may find a design that got its start in this small town along the Mississippi River. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gotro reporting.
Currently, the mill employs 79 workers, but future expansion plans hope to see that number grow to between 300 and 350. Farm tours, farm to table, college students learning about the denim in our jeans. There seems to be a bit of a theme this week on our show.
Yeah, there is. Learning about where our food and fiber come from. That is also the core mission of a group at LSU focused on bringing farms into schools across the state. TWILA's Karl Wiggers takes us to the Farm to School conference, where that group is helping teachers and administrators plant the seeds to success.
Here at the Louisiana Farm to School Conference in Baton Rouge, teachers and school administrators are learning new ways to bring the farm to the classroom. That's a mission Dr. Karl, the Executive Director of Seeds to Success, believes is crucial for children today.
For me, it's personal and professional. I think everybody needs to know where food comes from. Everybody needs to grow food, raise their own food. This is like a lifelong skill, and we need to reach young people.
Christina Melton is the Executive Director of the Knock Knock Children's Museum in Baton Rouge. She was a guest speaker sharing why she is so passionate about kids learning where their food comes from.
Kids love to dig in the dirt. Imagine the amount of perseverance they can learn by even trying to grow something. Farming is not easy. Growing gardens is not easy, but imagine the amount of confidence that children can gain through trial and error, experimentation, just sort of learning how to grow crops, and then the satisfaction that they can gain when they produce something that they can eat.
Motzenbacher says there are 3 pillars to the program he oversees. Firstly, growing food in schools. The second is bringing local foods into school classrooms and cafeterias.
And then the third is curriculum. And often we think of nutrition, health, but it could be teaching biology using a school garden.
The teachers in this room agree that there is no better time than now to help students understand where their food comes from. And who knows, it may even strike interest in a new generation of farmers.
This is the other thing. We tend not to think about agriculture. We are an agricultural state. But we need more fruit and vegetable growers. We need some more of these specialty crop growers because we are creating demand. And there's a lot of opportunities.
One interesting thing that I learned there was that Dr. Motzenbacher is also involved with a training program targeting beginning farmers to train them in horticulture and business practices. So not only is he working to connect farms and schools to get healthy local foods into the schools, creating a market for those farmers in the state, he's also helping train those farmers to fill the need in local schools and food systems. If you'd like to learn more about Louisiana Farm to School resources or that beginning farmer training program, head over to our website at twilatv.org. And you guys, I've been to this program probably 3 or 4 times now, and every time I get new ideas, new stories that are out there, and I think they're great for this show.
Yep.
But one of the cool things this year, the lunch portion that I actually didn't get to stay for, but I heard some of the topics that were discussed. There was all these different success stories from, different schools, different administrators and teachers around the state. So I'm actually planning to go around some of those success stories and do more stories.
So I have to unpack this a little bit, Karl. You did not hang around for food at an event where it was pretty much free food. You wouldn't have to pay for it.
Okay. It was free food. I did partake, though. That morning they had crepes and fruit and flapjacks, courtesy of the Egg Commission, I believe is who it was from. So
awesome.
I did get free food.
But you also got great story ideas.
Yes.
So that's really going to be something that the viewers are going to love to see over the next few
the next,
weeks.
probably spring, I'll have a handful, probably a series of 3 or 4 at least stories like this. And I don't know if you remember the story, one of my favorite stories I've done, I found at this workshop, this conference, 4 or 5 years ago was the hydroponic lettuce.
Yep.
And that one was really popular online, and I found that at this conference. So.
Well, that's really interesting. Thank you for bringing us such a creative and interesting story, Karl.
Genetically modified organisms. That may sound scary, but to the men and women in agriculture, that sounds like feeding the world.
In this week's Label Lessons, we learn a little bit more about the GMO label and what it means for the food on our tables and beyond.
Hey y'all, Jennifer Duhon here, registered dietitian and area nutrition agent with the LSUA Ag Center. And today we're in Livonia, Louisiana, shopping at Sopranos. So join me and let's go see what kind of labels we can find. All right, now let's talk GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, also known as bioengineered food. That can be a scary term, but this is truly what has advanced our farming practices and which allows our farmers, which is only 2% of the population, to help feed the world. So bioengineered or even genetically modified organisms has allowed for crop resistance. It also helps increase nutrition, increases yield, and it decreases spoilage. Now there are only 11 crops that are considered GMOs. The most common ones that we know of are going to be corn, soy, and canola. Some of those that are not quite as common would be something like pineapple, but not regular pineapple, pink pineapples, as well as sugar beets. Now, as I mentioned, regular pineapples are not considered a GMO crop. However, lots of products are going to have that label, non-GMO. That does not mean it's healthier. So again, don't let these labels fool you. And did you know that 95% of animal feed is going to have some type of genetically modified organism? We also see GMOs in medical technology and advancements, including insulin. So there's no reason for you to avoid, as GMOs will not affect your health. Now, we don't know where GMOs got the bad rap, but truly GMOs are needed. One of the benefits is going to be sustainable nutrition, and it's going to allow for us to feed the world. So don't let that label fool you.
Now, if you want to learn more about GMOs, we have some links on our website from our friends at the LSU Ag Center. And while you're there, send us your ideas for this segment. We'd love to answer your questions in a future segment. Visit us online at twilatv.org. Well, still to come on TWILA, the Mississippi River is at record low levels. So what does that mean for Louisiana farmers?
But first, the statewide drought is affecting crawfish. We tell you how next. Stay with us.
While we connect farmers and consumers every week, many of you may connect with the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry online.
Yeah, and that online presence has a new look. This week, the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry launched its new and improved website. Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, says the goal of the redesign was to create a more valuable, user-centric, and responsive resource across all platforms and devices. I mean, with so many of us accessing the web via mobile devices instead of desktop computers, that's pretty darn important. The site even has a new search tool to help you easily narrow down the topic or service you want using key terms. That said, the LDAF still wants your feedback on the new site. Check it out and then visit our website, twilatv.org, for a link to the feedback page. There's also a link on the website for feedback at the very bottom of the LDAF homepage. In Louisiana, saltwater intrusion is nothing new for communities along the Mississippi River. But on the other side of the state, farmers are also struggling with it.
TWILA's Craig Gautreaux shows us how saltwater is affecting crawfish farmers in southwest Louisiana.
While crawfish boils are months away, the crawfish season is kicking off as producers begin to flood their ponds and crawfish emerge from their summer burrows. But in southwest Louisiana, fields are dry because of a problem with surface water used to fill ponds.
Now that we're moving into the time of flood up for crawfish ponds, some of these salinity levels are too high for these individuals to use as their irrigation water.
Fontenot has found salinity levels in some canals as high as 11,000 parts per million. He recommends producers should not use any water with salinity levels higher than 3,000 parts per million.
We're afraid at this point you will have death losses both to your stubble or your green rice and to your young crawfish that will be emerging from the burrows.
Fontenot says the trouble spots are primarily limited to areas south of I-10 where canals are interconnected with the intercoastal waterway. Alan McLean is being affected by the salt water, and he believes it will impact his operation.
I think there will be quite a couple hundred acres that we won't even continue to fish this year, or we might flood up just to see, but it won't be for a prolonged amount of time.
Fontenot recommends that producers using well water take measures to elevate oxygen levels to help young crawfish survive.
You want to do whatever you can, such as aerate the water, break up those water droplets to pick up oxygen, and get that increased level in your ponds.
Producers are hoping that beneficial rainfall will help their fields and reduce the salinity issues they are now facing. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
Louisiana had 260,000 acres of crawfish ponds last year, and it remains to be seen how many acres will not be fished this year because of the saltwater issues. The Mississippi River gauge hit a record low water level on October 11th at Memphis. The all-time low hit minus 11.52 feet, surpassing the previous low of minus 10.81 feet. set in October of last year.
The weekly USDA grain transportation report also says that records were broken on the Ohio River at Cairo, Illinois. That gauge read 4.5 feet, the lowest river level since 1901. Draft and tow size restrictions are in place along the entire Mississippi River system. Despite some recent rains, more rain will be needed to raise water levels enough to improve the navigation conditions.
Water levels are projected to rise by late October and early November, but navigation conditions aren't expected to improve before late December or early January. Despite the navigation issues, the recent St. Louis spot freight rate fell for the third week in a row to $23.06 per ton, 68% below the same week last year.
Still to come on TWILA, a chicken, a pumpkin, and a social media trend.
We get in the Halloween spirit in a brand new TWILA Boost. Stay with us.
Halloween is almost here, and that means pumpkins are in high demand.
And if you've been a TWILA viewer for at least 10 years, you may remember how that tradition came to be, because I did an Ag Minute segment on that very topic way back in the day. Don't worry, if you're a newer viewer or you don't remember that gem, I'm sure that we're going to link it to you on our website at twilatv.org.
I remember that Ag Minute. However, I do not recall you explaining how chickens got involved.
Yeah, that's because they were not.
Oh, well, they are now. In today's TWILA Boost, we show you how, when given the right guidance and incentives, chickens are actually pretty good at carving, or rather, pecking designs into pumpkins. However, like all good internet challenges, yeah, there were some fails.
We're gonna try the chicken carving pumpkin challenge. Let's go do it.
In the areas I want them to carve into. So the goal is for them to peck into where I want to be carved. Let's see if they're gonna do it.
Let me redo that. Right.
Well, I didn't know that this was an internet challenge, but now I do, and I can test this out at home because I've got chickens. We've got plenty of pumpkins because we grew pumpkins this year, so.
I want to see that, okay? So I want to see that on your Facebook page. Do it as a Facebook Live. Do it live. We'll do it live.
Well, I don't know if they can do it that fast. We'll put something together. I'll test this out.
Okay, looking forward to it. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll show you how a small farmer field day in St. Helena Parish is showing young and old how to farm.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you know exactly when we put out new content.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.